So this is a study by Kaufman Foundation that is really important because it says that basically businesses less than 5 years old, they created over the last 25 years, they created more jobs than they, of course, destroyed. And the opposite side is for businesses more than 5 years old. They are completely in the opposite side. They destroyed more jobs than they created. And this is really important. As I said before, startups are really important for the economic development of the region, and this is the proof of it. So as a result, startups are fundamental in general for innovative ecosystem and improve the ecosystem. Also, entrepreneurship-led innovation is a powerful driver for growth. And as I said before, to push societies forward, and they focus this drive and energy to create and validate new innovations, to find different solutions, and these solutions solve problems at various scales. So startups are really important for these reasons. But there are many problems, of course. The first one is fragmentation. So the knowledge available today is all fragmented. So basically, it's impossible to get an overall view, the general picture, a well-defined framework of the entire journey, because of course you find a lot of information, but they are all fragmented. So you are stuck in silos, basically. Also, see why there are tons of materials and knowledge available online. It's difficult to find out what's relevant now in this phase and what's relevant in the future, in the next phase. So many entrepreneurs, they don't know where to start because there are too much information, and it's really difficult to understand where to start and what an entrepreneur should focus on at the beginning and later on in the development journey. And then limited visibility. This is the second problem in the ecosystem. So even people that support entrepreneurs, many times they have only a partial understanding of the entrepreneurial journey, because of course it takes a lot of years and it's very hard to get the experience of the whole journey. So it's really difficult, and even people that support entrepreneurs, sometimes they don't know to support properly entrepreneurs, and they don't have experience on how actually build a successful startup from nothing. Also, as I said before, it takes a long time. Of course, it's hard to accumulate such knowledge and all this experience in a short time. It's impossible. So it's really difficult to get an overall view of the entire startup journey. And another problem is that also as an entrepreneur, it's difficult to experience every startup phase because unicorns are just a few. So as an entrepreneur, it's difficult to experience every startup development phase, and as a person that supports startups, those kind of people have the same problem basically, because it's difficult to experience every startup phase. So what happened, as I said before, people usually tend to build silos and they get stuck in them. So basically, probably they support startups in a certain phase, and they get stuck in this phase, or they get stuck in one specific industry or in one specific field. So they almost don't communicate with other people in other development phase, in other industries, in other fields. So these are silos, and we as Startup Commons, we try to destroy these silos to make connections between ecosystems and within ecosystems to share knowledge. So the consequences of these silos and these problems are that the first one, there is no common language framework there is no a framework to follow step by step when you advise a startup or when, as an entrepreneur, you are about to start your journey, or as an entrepreneur, you are already in the journey and you want to improve your startup. Also, if you support startups development, probably you take non-effective actions because you have a limited perspective. So this is really important to have a good overall view that allows you to have a good perspective of things, of all the phases, and of course you can support better the startups. Also, mistakes that affect seriously the startup business model. So this is really important, because when supporting startups, you have to help them to improve the business model. But how can you do that if you don't have a good perspective and an overview of the journey? So basically, at the end, you might find some errors that could have been avoided if known earlier. So also the last point, you could discover late on the journey that some choices taken at the beginning were not the most appropriate. So these consequences are really important in the field of startup development. And especially, this is really important, huge amount of money wasted, of course, and money equals time wasted. So as you know, time is the most valuable resource that we have nowadays. So it's really important to save time in order to make improvements and support startups in a better way. And also, this is frustration. This is a big topic. Frustration, because trying to connect all the dots to get a big picture. So this leads to ecosystem inefficiencies. And what do we need in order to improve the ecosystem and improve our support services, or as an entrepreneur to improve our startup? First of all, we need a strategic overall view that avoid to commit the most common mistakes and save a lot of time and money, especially time, because of course you can make more money, but you cannot make more time. So if you save time, you have the chance to improve faster your startup or your support services for startups or your ecosystem. Also, avoid reinventing the wheel, because we have to maximize the benefit of the actions that we implement to improve the general efficiency of the ecosystem. So I'm sure that you know this thing. Sometimes we are too busy to improve because we are completely focused on what we are doing, but we don't see innovations. We don't see tools that are powerful in our field, tools or frameworks that can help us to do the same job with less effort. So this is really important. Are you too busy to improve, or are you trying to find a way to work in a smarter way? And as I said before, a framework that connects in a logical way all the startup development phases in order to give a clear path to follow for entrepreneurs and a clear frameworks to follow step by step for those that are supporting startups. Also, this framework has to define exactly in which development phase a certain startup is in order to help the startup in the best way that you can, because of course every startup is in one specific phase, and of course it's important to know which phase is it, and in order to take effective actions, because of course, as you know, a startup in the first phase is not a startup in the last phase. So there are many differences, and it's important to define exactly in which point a venture is. Also, tools to track and measure the results. Of course, this is really important, because otherwise you don't know the improvement, if the improvements, the actions that you are taking are effective or not, and also which kind of improvements are you doing in your venture or in your support services. In one word, we need a strategy, basically a framework that gives us and help us to avoid obstacles, to face challenges and unknown factors. This is really important, unknown factors, because there are certain things that you cannot predict. So unknown factors, this is really important, to have a strategy that helps us also to face unknown factors and competitors. Why we need so? First of all, only the things that are understood can be developed. So, of course, we always talk about developing things, developing ecosystems, developing startups, but first we have to understand those factors. We have to understand how a startup works, how an ecosystem works. So first we have to understand, and then we can develop. Also, as I mentioned before, tools to track. So first, we have to measure, because only the things that can be measured can be improved. Otherwise, it's only ideas and not things that are measurable, so that can be measured. So we cannot improve them, basically. Also, speed of iteration validation cycle. Having a framework allows us to have a faster iteration validation cycle that allows us to make improvements in a faster way. So this is really important, because since we have a step-by-step process, we have a kind of map of how the things work, so we can iterate and validate faster. And this is really important, because otherwise we waste a lot of time trying to implement something, but basically we don't have the answer from the market, and this is really important, otherwise we will fail for sure. So iteration validation cycle. What are the top 5 factors in success? So these are the most important. So timing, team execution, idea, business model, and funding. So it's really important to have a good supporting services, because we have to teach to the new actors entering the ecosystem. We have to make them realizing if the timing is correct or not, if the team is good or not, because of course they are new, so they don't know. Also the idea and the business model. Sometimes entrepreneurs, they get stuck in their idea, they fall in love with their ideas, and they don't realize many things. So as supporting services provider, we have to do this kind of support to them, to the new entrepreneurs. And as an entrepreneur, we have to get an overall picture, a broader view of our journey that we are about to follow. So it's really important to have this picture. So in our Startup Advisors Guide, we have summarized all these points that I mentioned before, and you can download the Startup Advisors Guide through our chat on the right. You can find 2 documents actually that you can download and read. And also, since a lot of people are joining this webinar because they saw our materials on Facebook, so they probably already got this guide. And for those that are interested, they don't have it, and they would like to know more, you could go to our website, startupcommons.org, and you can subscribe to our newsletter and get all the news. Also, some notes. Compared to the past, nowadays, we are overexposed to the knowledge. So basically, it's not a problem anymore to find the knowledge. The problem is to find valuable knowledge for us in this certain moment. So the problem is to get the right info at the right moment. That's why consulting industry is booming, because since we are overexposed to the knowledge, the important thing we have to focus on find the right info at the right moment. So consulting industry is booming for this reason, because of course experienced consultants can give us really valuable knowledge, and moreover there is a growing need for consultants and trainers that can give a good support services to the increasing number of startups. As I mentioned before, startups are increasing, so we need better support services in order to take effective actions and improve the ecosystem. And in this case, in this field, internet and digital can help us to scale the process, because of course you can understand, if I'm a consultant and I have to advise 100 startups on site, it takes a lot of time. But with digital content and internet, I can do it one-to-many and not one-to-one anymore. Creating new startups require nurturing the ecosystems around them. Just like startups, ecosystems do not develop by accident. So we have to take decision. We need to have a systematic approach, and we have to commit to develop the ecosystem and the supporting services for startups. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So it's easy to understand at this point the importance of a good entrepreneurship education, because to have a good ecosystem, we need good supporting services, and to have them, we need entrepreneurship education. So to don't get lost, basically, we need the right info. Just to summarize the things I just said, the right info at the right moment that help us to get the overall view in order to define an effective growth strategy, and that can guide the entrepreneurs towards relevant resources and tools. Especially, we need to draw a clear path to follow for entrepreneurs.